Listen to this sentence. The butler stole the necklace. It's a fact. It's clear. But it's not very dramatic. Now, listen to this. It was the butler who stole the necklace. And this. What the butler stole was the necklace. Suddenly, the sentence has a focus. It has a spotlight. This technique of splitting a simple sentence into two parts to emphasize one piece of information is called a cleft sentence. It is the secret language of lawyers, debaters, and powerful speakers. It is how you tell your listener, "Pay attention. This part is the most important." And today, you are going to learn how to use it. Welcome back to our advanced series, English Grammar Unlocked. I'm your host, Scarlett. Today, we are stepping into the courtroom to learn the powerful and persuasive grammar of cleft sentences. In this episode, we will turn a grammar lesson into a dramatic closing argument. First, we will witness a lawyer arguing a case to see how It-Clefts and Wh-Clefts are used to convince a jury. Second, we will master 7 essential vocabulary words for law and persuasion. And finally, for our language focus, we will break down the specific structures of the 2 main types of cleft sentences so you can use them with power and precision. Are you ready to make your case? A lawyer's job is to focus the jury's attention on one specific person, one specific time, or one specific piece of evidence. To do this, they use a special tool to put a spotlight on a noun. Let's listen to the opening of the closing argument from a brilliant lawyer, Miss Anya Sharma. Part 1. The Spotlight. It-Clefts. Our story today takes place in a tense courtroom. The trial is coming to an end. A priceless diamond necklace has been stolen, and Miss Sharma's client has been accused of the crime. She now stands before the jury to give her final speech. Her job is to make the jury focus on the real facts of the case. She begins, her voice calm and clear. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The prosecution has told you a long and complicated story. But let's use the next few minutes to focus only on the simple facts. She continues. They told you that a priceless diamond necklace was stolen on Tuesday night. But the evidence from the security logs is clear. It was on Wednesday morning that the necklace was first reported missing. There is a big difference. They also showed you pictures of a broken window. But the forensic report proves that the window was broken from the inside. The report shows it was the back door that was left unlocked that night. And most importantly, she says, lowering her voice, they have accused my client, a man with no criminal history. But the security camera footage, which you have all seen, is undeniable. It was the butler who left the secure room just 2 minutes after midnight, holding a small, heavy bag. Let's pause Miss Sharma's argument. Every time she wanted to emphasize a key piece of information, the time, the door, the person, she used our first type of cleft sentence, the it-cleft. The formula is it plus is divided by was plus the emphasized part plus that divided by who divided by when. The job of an it-cleft is to put a spotlight on one piece of information. It takes that information and puts it right at the front of the sentence after it was, to give it special importance. Let's see how she transformed a simple sentence. The simple sentence is, "The butler left the room." To emphasize the person, she said, "It was the butler who left the room." To emphasize the place, she could say, "It was the room that the butler left." To emphasize the time, she could say, "It was after midnight that the butler left the room." It's a powerful tool to control what your listener focuses on. Now that the lawyer has put a spotlight on the key facts, she needs to tell the jury what is truly important. To do this, she will use a different kind of cleft sentence, one that focuses on a whole idea or action, not just a single noun. Part 2. The heart of the matter. Wh-Clefts. Miss Sharma continues her argument, her voice becoming more passionate. She wants to highlight the most important part of the story for the jury. She says, "What the prosecution has forgotten to mention is the fact that the butler had serious financial problems. What I need you to understand is that the timeline they presented is impossible if my client was the thief. What happened next is the most important part of this entire story. The butler disappeared the next day. And what my client did was the action of an innocent man. He called the police immediately when he saw the open door." Let's pause again. Miss Sharma is now using our second type of cleft sentence, the what-cleft. It is often called a what-cleft because it most commonly starts with the word what. The formula is what clause plus is divided by was plus the emphasized part. The job of a Wh-Cleft is to highlight the most important piece of information in a situation by putting it at the end of the sentence. It structures the sentence to build suspense and then reveal the key fact. It's a very common way to structure an argument or an explanation because it feels very clear and logical. Let's see how a simple sentence is transformed. Simple sentence. I need you to understand the timeline. Wh-Cleft. What I need you to understand is the timeline. Simple sentence. He did something. He called the police. Wh-Cleft. What he did was call the police. This structure is incredibly useful for making your point in a strong and memorable way. The closing argument was powerful and persuasive. Now, let's step out of the courtroom and become grammar experts ourselves. Let's analyze the legal language our lawyer used to build her case. Part 3. Language focus. First, let's master our 7 essential vocabulary words for today's lesson. Our first phrase is cleft sentence. A cleft sentence is a complex sentence that is split into 2 parts to emphasize one piece of information. For example, "It was the butler who did it" is a cleft sentence. Our second word is emphasis. Emphasis is the special importance or value that you give to something. For example, lawyers use cleft sentences to put emphasis on key evidence. Our third word is courtroom. A courtroom is the room where a judge and jury listen to a legal case. For example, the lawyer's speech created a lot of drama in the courtroom. Next we have lawyer. A lawyer is a person who is trained to give legal advice and to represent people in court. For example, Miss Sharma is a very persuasive lawyer. Our fifth word is jury. A jury is a group of people in a court of law who decide if a person is guilty or not guilty. For example, the lawyer's job is to convince the jury. The sixth word is evidence. Evidence is the information that is used in a court of law to prove something. For example, the security camera video was a very important piece of evidence. And our final word is to convince. To convince means to make someone believe that something is true. For example, she used cleft sentences to convince the jury of her client's innocence. Now for our grammar focus. Cleft sentences. Let's do a final review of the two types. Type 1. The It-Cleft. Its job is to put a spotlight on a specific noun or phrase at the beginning of the sentence. The structure is it plus is divided by was plus spotlighted part plus that divided by who divided by when. Example: it was the key that he stole. Type 2. The Wh-Cleft. Its job is to highlight the most important piece of information at the end of the sentence. The structure is what clause plus is divided by was plus highlighted part. Example: what he stole was the key. You've learned the grammar of persuasion. Now, how can you practice this advanced skill to make your own English sound more powerful and dynamic? Part 4. Practice tips for the 4 skills. For listening, watch a clip of a closing argument from a courtroom movie or TV show, like A Few Good Men or Law and Order. Lawyers use cleft sentences all the time to be persuasive. Listen for sentences that start with "it was" and "what I want to show you is." For speaking, practice emphasizing information with your AI tutor. First, say a simple sentence, like, "I ate the last cookie." Then, practice emphasizing different parts. Say, "It was I who ate the last cookie." Then say, "It was the last cookie that I ate." Then say, "What I ate was the last cookie." For reading, find an opinion article or a movie review online. Good writers often use cleft sentences to emphasize their main points and make their arguments stronger. Read an article and highlight the cleft sentences you find. And for writing, this is a great exercise for your journal. Write about something interesting that happened to you yesterday. Write a simple sentence first. Then, rewrite it twice, once as an it-cleft to put a spotlight on one detail, and once as a Wh-Cleft to highlight the most important part of the story. Part 5. Your next action. Today, you have learned that grammar is not just about being correct. It's about being powerful. Cleft sentences are more than just a complex rule. They are a tool of persuasion and clarity. You now have the power to not just state facts, but to guide your listeners' attention, to emphasize what is important, and to make your arguments stronger and more memorable. As we conclude, let's quickly summarize our lesson today. We witnessed a dramatic courtroom argument and learned about the 2 main types of cleft sentences. It-Clefts to put a spotlight on a specific piece of information, and Wh-As to highlight the most important idea in a situation. We also learned 7 essential vocabulary words for this topic. As a review, those words were cleft sentence, emphasis, courtroom, lawyer, jury, evidence, and to convince. Now, I have a final question for you. Think about your favorite movie. Who is the main character? I want you to tell us in the comments using an It-Cleft. For example, it was Harry Potter who defeated Voldemort. If you are committed to making this mindset a part of your life, show your energy by smashing that like button. Be a hero for a friend by sharing this video with someone you know who wants to speak more persuasively. And to lock in your commitment to learning, subscribe and smash that notification bell so you don't miss our next workout. Remember, the way you structure your sentence can be just as important as the words you use. Until next time, take care and happy learning.